and welcome to another episode of Wedflics. I'm your host, Julia Braime. I'm the editor and founder of Brides Up North, the top UK wedding blog for northern couples, and I'm the editor of UNVEILED magazine, the go-to bridal glossy. Today on the show, we are welcoming Natalia, an UNVEILED network member and the owner of My Billet Doux. She produces the most beautiful bespoke cushions using antique and vintage silks and ribbons to create a one-off heirloom piece, whether it's your ring bearer cushion for special love notes or to be used in the perfect marriage proposal. Get ready to fall in love. Okay, so hi Natalia, welcome to our Wedflics show.
Hi Julia, thank you so much for having me.
It's an absolute pleasure. So everybody who is meeting Natalia for the first time, this is Natalia. Her company is My Billet Doux. Is that the correct way to pronounce?
Yeah.
I've had some practice, I must admit. Her company is My Billet Doux, and she produces beautiful keepsake heirloom cushions in the finest of silks and antique ribbons, which we'll get on to later, which you can use for a multitude of really beautiful uses, and it's all very romantic. Let's let Natalia introduce her business.
So yes, hello, I'm Natalia Willmott, and I live near York, and I have my company called My Billet Doux, which means my love note in French. And yes, I do make special cushions, which are keepsakes, and they've all got a secret pocket to keep note cards or notebook and exchange messages that way, and to write these lovely words that you have for someone, or words that you might have for yourself as well. And we all need a reminder once in a while to have these words and these notes that we've given. And so I really wanted to create a space to keep them and to continue getting them as well.
So Natalia, what's your background then? Well, first of all, what's your background?
So my background, I worked for a long time in the antiques trade in London. And I worked in particular with a textile dealer, also Islamic art, but that's another thing. But it's really the textile side that kind of made me want to collect and have a love of quality fabrics and antiques. So I have been collecting along the way as well when I started working with this lady. So it was just the two of us, but she still has actually, very successful business. And we were near Fortnum's and Mason in Jermyn Street, and had a beautiful gallery there. And I met lots of private clients. So I thought when I moved here to Yorkshire, I'd kind of like to replicate the same thing. So that's kind of my background, but also I studied art history. I've always loved beautiful things, and I've always loved putting things together. So I was lucky to also work in London for a company that does display of art and conservation of art. So having all these kind of different things made me want to bring everything together.
Fantastic. So you are definitely a curator in life.
Yeah, exactly. Sure. Yes, curator, collector, that sort of thing, because actually a lot of dealers, that's how they function. They collect a specific item, and then once they've got a collection, they put a catalogue together and then they sell it. A lot of people do that because it's true, seeing, you're able to explain or describe, sorry about this.
Fine, got a little friend there.
A period of time or a design better if you've got a multitude of things. So it's a bit like a museum, and so yes, I do love doing that, and that's how I buy for both of my businesses often, by collecting first and then making something afterwards.
It's fascinating, and it means that there's so much history and heart goes into it as well, that it's not fast fashion or fast gift product making. There's so much heart goes behind every single piece. So just an aside, I used to work just around the corner from you then, in that case, when I was down in London at Glamour on Old Bond Street.
Oh yes, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, back in my magazine training days.
You might have been at the same time,
Probably. It was my old stomping ground, probably around about the year 2000, 2001. I was there,
Um,
or a bit later, a little bit later, maybe 2003.
maybe a tiny bit later for me, but yeah, around that time as well.
Yeah, it's a great part of London. Great part of London. So much history and fashion and everything sort of colliding just down the road from Leicester Square. Okay, so how did My Billet Doux come about? Where did that evolve from?
So it evolved from me having another business where I sell art and antiques and giftware, but it also evolved through collecting these ribbons because antique fabrics are very collectible and they can cost a lot of money. So I thought, how can I get this beauty at maybe a slightly lower price? And so I started looking at the ribbons, found a few ribbons. I was like, wow, they're really gorgeous. They might be small, but actually I've got some wide ones now, like that big, not big even, and they don't make them anymore. I know, they're absolutely stunning. So I can pay, you know, up to £100 for a little piece. You know, I have paid fortunes for them, but they are the top quality. So I started collecting those, and then I found a letter, as you know, that my husband had left me in my pigeonhole at university. And that said, you've got the keys to my heart, here are the keys to my flat. And when I found it again, it gave me so much joy. And I thought I really want a place to keep it. So as I was already making cushions for the other company, and because I was decorating people's houses and, you know, creating cushions, and from being an upholsterer, yeah, I've done so many things. I don't know what to put in. Sorry,
but it's all come together beautifully to create your current thing.
So yes, so I thought, why don't I create a product? I don't even want to call it a product, you know, but nearly like a little piece of art that can combine all these things: the interiors, the love, the handwritten word, which I absolutely adore because I love sending and receiving letters. I still correspond with some people through letter writing. And I just remember that part of my life being fabulous, you know, because we didn't have phones, you know, and then friends going on holiday and you'd get your letters. And that's how you communicate at one point. And I've kept all of these. I know it's crazy, but I've kept them. And it just reminds me of those times. And I think it's so nice having these memories. We all need a bit of those memories when times are harder. So I really wanted to create something like that, really positive, beautiful, useful, and a bit traditional.
Yeah, I love that. Do you want to show us some of the cushions, and let's see some of them?
I want to see. So yes, I'm very proud of my box and my packaging and my logo and everything, and I've created everything actually myself for my brand. So this is one of the boxes. There we go.
It's beautiful, and you can definitely tell that you work near Fortnum and Mason. I think there's definitely some London inspo in those boxes.
Maybe actually the big box got the same color. It's got that turquoise, you know, color that they have. I wasn't this actually wasn't supposed to be as bright orange, but that's how it happened. But I thought, you know what, doesn't matter. It's quite jolly to receive this.
Yeah, I absolutely love them. I think your packaging screams quality in everything you do.
I'm odd, you know, for the wedding market, should I have them white? And I nearly did. But then I was like, no, actually, let's have it a bit different. So that's why I've kept the orange. So that's the box. Now, I have different types of cushions. Some of them are very colorful. I've shown you some colorful ones. So this is a really early ribbon from the sort of either the very late 19th century, early 20th century, and it's been embroidered, "Will you marry me?" So beautiful. The idea is you would put a note inside, so like that inside, and then you would, you know, pop down on one knee or whatever you do, and then, you know, have the ring inside. So I have a patent on a ring system. So it's two little ribbons basically that hold the ring or a piece of jewelry, and then, you know, it enables you to kind of keep the ring in place if you're at a wedding ceremony, or if a child might be taking it down the aisle or something like that. So this is also a really early ribbon. It's all satin, and I mean, it's absolutely, when you touch them, you're like, you know, and so some of them have different colors inside. This again, I thought quite nice for Christmas, you know, even that with a Christmas note inside. There we go. So
They're absolutely stunning. And so they have the pocket where you can put your notes in, but they've also got a little bit on the back. Is that right? Like a little zippy pocket on the back?
So the big cushions, which you can put on your bed or a favorite chair or something, that's where the notebook is kept in the back. This one, the zips are all a feature, you know, so it kind of corresponds to the color of the ribbon. And here you can attach charms. So I've been collecting charms all through the years. So I've got some from 1900 upwards, and I make them with beads and antique elements. And so you can collect charms. Each cushion comes with a gold clasp that goes here, and you can collect up to 6 charms. So the idea, it's the gift that keeps on giving. So you could give this, let's say, for a wedding present or wedding anniversary, and then the next year you get a new charm to clip on. It was just to do that. And you can collect different notebooks, different note cards as well.
So you can use it. They have so many different uses, don't they, the cushions? First of all, for weddings. So we talked about the proposal. So it's a really nice way to propose and then have a keepsake of that day. Also the rings inside. I just love that. I would have been all over that. But then they're very, very good for ring bearers too, because they've got this system that you talked about inside. So the rings are going to be safe.
Yep.
And it's just another kind of memory from your day to kind of go into the heirloom box with your gown and your veil and your shoes, if you're not going to wear them again. And just to kind of, or you can display, it shouldn't go in the box. What am I talking about? It should be displayed, shouldn't it?
Well, I've got one of my lovely brides has actually got a lovely dressing room, and she's left it out in her dressing room, which I think is so lovely. The hope is that maybe, you know, next year or something, she'll get a gift in it or a note in it. She, you know, rediscovers it. So that's kind of the idea of it. You can also, I mean, this is a bit of a sadder side to it, but if you've lost someone and they can't walk down the aisle, you can have a picture in there, you know, so they're close by. Or if some of your guests can't be there, there could be a note that could then be read later. So there's all sorts of things. You could receive it in the morning of your wedding with a piece of jewelry that belonged to your aunt or something like that. So you've got something old. It's basically, it's to make your own story. You create your own story with it. You know, I've got guidelines, but I like that people become creative with it.
Yeah, it's fantastic. There's just so many uses, and I can just imagine kind of one being passed down through the years from like mother to daughter or father to son as well. You know, this is not just for the girls, and really kind of being kept as an heirloom piece. And you know, we'll keep them beautifully, but they will, you know, get older. But that's the beauty of them, that the fabrics and the materials you've used have so much history, and they've already survived for so long that, you know, they just get better with age, don't they?
This one I've had. Someone gave it as a gift to give cufflinks to his other half, you know, so yeah. It can also be like a birthday present or something like that, and then, you know, the next year maybe they'll give something else with it. I don't know. Yeah, it's nice to kind of bring it out, and that's the kind of tradition that I'd like to do for Christmas, that people open it for Christmas and they've got maybe their Christmas wishes or their New Year's wishes, and then here they'll read them again, and they're there in the notebook. And
I love that idea. I love that idea of the New Year's resolutions or wishes, I think.
Yeah.
Like in the
wishes are better.
You write them on New Year. Yeah, wishes are better, because then you feel like less of a failure, right?
There's no pressure. Exactly.
So I love that on New Year's Eve you can write your wishes and pop it in the pillow, and then not open it until maybe the following year, and so see how you've done, and then write a new one and store it. Oh, that is, I love that idea. But I'm a storyteller at heart, so to me that's really romantic. Really, really lovely. So tell us a bit more, Natalia, then, about the materials you use. Where do your silks come from, and where do you source them?
So the silks are actually made by a UK company, but it's Indian silk dupion. So it's got a bit of a kind of like threads showing a bit.
Yeah.
It's not completely smooth, but it's fairly smooth. But I like that because each one's a bit different, you know, and I want them all to be different. And then the ribbons come basically a lot from collections, not collections, sorry, companies that have closed down, ribbon manufacturers, that's what I was looking for the right word, that have closed down, and the ribbons have been sold after that. So I've managed to get some, and a lot of them were samples that would have been shown to clients, you know, to either embellish a dress, or because like in the sort of 18th, 19th century, the volume of ribbons that you used was absolutely huge. Meters and meters and meters could be, you know, to adorn a dress. So that's where they kind of come from. So they're kind of collectibles. And I just thought, you know, what's the point of them being there in a drawer, not being used? So why don't I just bring them in and use them? Because it's a kind of celebration of the ribbon, of this history of making beautiful things, and the design and the colors. I mean, when you look at them, you think they're actually brand new, but
Yeah,
some of them are 100 years old, 120, you know, it's just amazing.
Yeah, it is amazing. I love how you can tell us what, like, this ribbon's X amount of years old and it's from here and there with each cushion. Do you let your customers know where your ribbons come from and tell them about the history?
Yeah, so there's a little certificate that comes with each cushion. And so I have a few that I have a series that's numbered. So that means it's a unique piece. I mean, none of them are made in huge quantities. It's 1 to 5 maximum, but most of them are unique. And so there's a serial number inside that gets written, and in an antique ledger, I write where it's going, and just the initials of the person and where it's going, and you know which cushion it was. So it's nice for me to have a record of that, and eventually I'd like to have a map, because I'd like to go everywhere in the world. You know? So it would be lovely to have a map on the website where they've gone. I mean, I've had Germany, France, Poland, the UK, one in America. I'm trying to think, one in Spain. Yeah, so it's quite nice that they go everywhere.
Lovely.
So I've kind of lost my thread, actually. So yes, you get a number, and then on the certificate I tell you where, and on the website you can see where everything's, you know, when it's been made,
the origin,
not deco, if it's, and also the quality is actually by looking at the ribbon itself, because ribbons nowadays are not finished in the selvage. So the selvage is the end of a fabric. There you can see there's different decorations on the selvage or different finishes. And that really shows the quality of the piece. And of course, you know, touching it, there's different materials that came in later, you know, in the 20s and the 30s. So more synthetic materials came in.
Yeah.
So yes.
Yeah, you can definitely tell the difference between, say, like an item of clothing, unless it's produced couture nowadays or of the very highest quality. You can tell the difference when you pick up an item of clothing now to an item of clothing that's you know, an antique piece. And it's the same sort of thing in the fabric. It's that sort of weight, and
yeah,
you just know. There's just like a sense of it, isn't there? So are you the sort of person who, when you're away on trips and traveling, is always kind of nipping into antique shops and rifling through rails and finding things in like little drawers and things?
Yes, definitely.
Yeah, that's the answer.
I know, I drive my family crazy. You know, sometimes I've seen antique shops shut. I'm like, I've got to go back, you know. Obviously, I'm limited to what I can bring back, but I have brought back big plates and things like that from travels. Definitely bolts of fabric and ribbons and things like that. Definitely. When I go to France, I mean, I come back with loads of ribbons, because one of the biggest ribbon manufacturers actually in France was ribbon region was near Lyon, where the silk industry was, and just a few miles away from Lyon was Saint-Etienne. And then in the UK, it's Coventry. And bizarrely, I don't have many English ribbons. In fact, I don't think I've got German ones, Swiss. The Switzerland was also a very big industry, Germany as well. But so yes, I do I do come back, and I've started collecting now designs as well, the ribbons. So some of the ribbons, it's a shame, I should have brought some actually to show you. Some of the ribbons I've got designs that were created, and then the ribbon to go with it.
And so how do you then design the cushions from the ribbons and the silks that you have? Does it just kind of intrinsically come to you, or are you sort of finding inspiration elsewhere? Is it obvious?
So a lot of it is color matching. And you think it's an easy thing, but actually it's not, because I've got like 120 different silk colors and 200 different zip colors and all sorts of things. And also some silk has a sheen, and I also, as you've seen, started using antique fabrics with it. And it's not actually that easy to do. You think, oh, I'm going to do it in 2 minutes, but actually the design process can be actually quite long. So I tend to get silks out and take some ribbons out, and suddenly I'm like, oh yes, I would like to do something a bit maybe more oriental or something, or so this, I felt was a bit more to not necessarily because it's Indian inspired, the design, so I thought, that might, and they love really colorful, so I thought that would be nice to use like that.
Do you know what, Natalia, when you open it there, you can actually hear the quality of the piece coming across on the screen, which is unbelievable.
It's got a little label inside, you see, like that, and then it's numbered underneath.
It's just beautiful. It's that same sort of zuzz of a wedding dress, when you kind of move the skirts of a silk dupion wedding dress, to be quite honest with you, because that is a fabric that's used quite heavily in bridal, with the slight click is what I would call it, like a click of silk, and it's that same sort of zuzz.
Yeah, I mean, I try to do with lots of different fabrics. I mean, I now do some with antique fabrics and cottons and things, but the silk, what I love is the color. And because I'm using a lot of ribbons that are also silk or very good imitation silk, they have this sheen, and it kind of works together as well. And I love the element that it changes with the light. So it's not so easy actually for photographers. Some photographers find it hard to photograph, but some are very good at photographing that, and kind of, like the dress, it kind of drapes beautifully, and I love that, and it catches the light in different ways.
Yeah, it's that kind of natural light, artistic feel of photography that would definitely show these off at their very best, I think. So obviously the history is important to you, but is this kind of recycling and upcycling, sustainability, is that a key part to your business too?
Yeah, definitely. Yes, I think that's why I want to reuse items, and not only to reuse them, but also to show the skills of the past. But also, well, it's my other business, selling art and antiques. It's at the forefront. I really like that as well, because things are so beautifully made. I think it's nice in your life to have a combination of things. We can't have everything old, not have everything new, but I just think having a bit of both is really good. And I think would help the planet better if we can try and make new things out of old things. And there's lots of, even in the wedding industry, there's lots of people who use antique elements and braids and ribbons and buttons, and a lot is also the hat makers. They use a lot of, feathers and things that are antique, and to create more unique pieces. I think that's the thing, is that you can create something more unique. But really the other side of my business is really the connection. So I love the connection that I have with my clients, but I want the people who get it to have a connection with somebody. And this is really what this is about. It's connecting people together in a different way.
Yeah, it absolutely is. It's helping them to enrich their own story with pieces that have come from the past, basically, and mixed a bit of old. It's like that old rhyme, something old, something new. It's perfect for weddings. It fits so beautifully, because you didn't start this for weddings, did you? It kind of just came about.
No, in fact, on my website, I've got something old, something new, share your love, My Billet Doux. So yes, I didn't start it for weddings. I started it for people who like each other to like each other even more, because I think, we need to do different things. We need to go out for dinner. We need to write. We need to say nice things. We need to be attentive on little things like making a cup of tea or a cup of coffee. It can be little things like that. But occasionally, I think a bit more of a gesture. It doesn't have to be often, but I think occasional gesture, I think, really helps cement a relationship and helps it grow and helps it go in the right direction and helps you, go together, because there's so many things happening in life. Everybody's got different things happening, and I just think to keep on reconnecting is very important. And it's the same with friends. When you've had friends, I've got friends from school I haven't seen for ages, but as soon as I see them again, it's as if we saw each other yesterday, because we have this occasional connection, and these little things, we remember the past makes us who we are now. And
absolutely.
I'm not expressing it very well, but
you're expressing it beautifully. You're expressing it absolutely fantastically. You talked about a cushion that's been passed around the world in another conversation. Do you want to tell us about that?
Yes. So we're a group of women working with a coach, and I decided, actually, why don't I send her a cushion, because she'd done so much for us. So we actually, I sent the notebook round the world. So we were 14 or 15, I remember. And it took like 6 or 8 months to go round the world. And I put like a pen and a notebook, and each person could take a pen, keep a pen, and then write in a notebook. And some people did drawings. Someone put like dried flowers that they collect, lovely things like that. And then it came back to me, and then it was put in the cushion and then given. And it was just a memory and a thank you. It was all that sort of thing together. And I think nowadays this would be a lovely thing. Can you imagine receiving something from all your best friends or something like that,
Yeah, it's absolutely fantastic.
And I think
it would make a beautiful, like, like for when women get together for the hen party and that sort of thing. It would make, I think now times are changing, that those sort of events are still really fun and funny, but they can also be quite elegant and kind of heartwarming. And particularly now, after this year of COVID and everything we've been through as a whole, people just value their connections more, don't they? So it would make a lovely gift for that sort of thing.
Yeah, everything in the heart, So it would be the same for a newborn baby, if you, and any, when friends get together and they buy a gift together, I think this can be so special, because that they've spent time as a receiver, they've spent time discussing, what should we get? Should we get this? Do you think she's going to like it? And I think that's really important, to think of what the other person would like as well. People often buy things in a rush, and, let's get it done, and, whatever. It's better to give late sometimes, and give something that's got a bit of thought.
Well, I always give late, so
well, that's fine. It's better to kind of, give late, or give with intention when you're giving.
That's what I do. I do generally do that. I think about it for too long, but then when I give the gift, it's always really good. So that's we always feel like, and you also feel that extra guilt, so you always just go a little bit further when you give the gift. It also stems from being wholly unorganized in my personal life, because I do all my organization to work. So I'm
the same, because you think I'd be super organized for others, but I've got 20 nieces and nephews, and I'm a godmother, at the same time, to so many children. I can't always give everything, and I'd rather give when I see them, take them out, do something special. And I've realized, actually, so the guilt has gone off now. I don't have the guilt anymore, because I know that when I see them, I'll do something special sometimes, and I think they remember that more than if it's better, 1 year you don't do the birthday, but then the next year you've got a bit more of a budget to do something special. You know what I mean? So I think, you can still write a card, you can still phone, you can, do all these things and say, listen, something, but I think, I prefer to do that way.
And I think all those nieces and nephews and godchildren should probably be getting you a My Billet Doux and writing you a note each, because that's like the perfect scenario, isn't it? So how are they made then? Do you make them yourself?
So yes, I mean, initially I made them myself, but I do have a seamstress. So I tend to cut everything. although she's starting to cut now because I don't have as much time. But so I cut it, put everything together, and then I'll give her everything with a little note, and then she'll put it together. She's much better at sewing than me anyway. So
they're all handmade and done.
Oh, definitely. Yes.
Beautiful. So if someone were wanting to get a cushion from you, how do they go about it? Do they shop on your website, or do they contact you for a bespoke piece? How does it work?
So yes, they can go on my website. I've got lots of different designs, but if they're looking particularly for weddings, if they're looking for a particular color or something like that, I can match. Like for example, just show you, I was doing a jeweled one, and I've started doing some with some Swarovski crystals. So to show you, you see, you can't probably see so much.
We can, yeah.
But so if you wanted something a bit more bling, you can. If you want a name embroidered or initials, I can't use all ribbons because not all ribbons work well in the embroidery, but I can use some. So yes, they can contact me on my website. There's a form there. I'm on social media everywhere.
You are. So they just need to so they can either order something that you've already designed, or they can get in touch to even just to tweak it or to create something new.
Yeah, and hopefully when we open, and if people live around in the Yorkshire area, they can come and see my workshop. At the moment, I can't open it, but that was the kind of ideal thing. I've had clients come because I open my home for my events, and I've had people come and have a glass of champagne and then choose their cushion, and that's been really nice. But I have loads of those, but it'd be nice to do some more.
Well, I'll be first in the queue for sure for my New Year's Eve cushion, because because I've done the wedding thing, but I think that's just such a lovely idea, and I'm sure there'll be some industry people watching as well who'll like that idea for their own families. Natalia, it's been such a pleasure speaking to you today. I've loved every minute of it. Do you want to tell us your website address, and I'll drop it in here?
So yeah, my website's mybilletdoux.com, which is mybilletdoux.com.
Correct. And what about your Instagram handle? What's that? And I'll drop that in too.
So that's at My Billet Doux.
Okay, fantastic. So everybody, you can find Natalia via either of those methods and check out some of her beautiful work for yourselves. Thanks, Natalia.
Thank you so much. And give me a ring for your cushion.